I I thought nobody could get out the city. Y'all, I can't. Like, literally, they faced no issues getting out of this city. None. They got so smooth, easy, clean, like, easy breezy. Why did we keep harping on no, lock the city down, nobody can leave this island? Bruh, they left the island. They gone. When I tell y'all, Herschel did not look happy to see his mama. He did not run over to his mama. He looked about as happy as Negan was to go with the Croat. That's exactly how Herschel looked. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing The Walking Dead spinoff Dead City episode 6, the season finale. And this episode pretty much picks up exactly where last episode left off at. We have the flare that Jenny put up. Negan and the marshal come run over where the flare was. And initially Negan is like calling out Maggie's name, but then Jenny does that little whistle that he taught her and she pops out. And Maggie ends up running over, and Negan is like, you knew about this? But Maggie's like, no, she popped up, you know, at the arena. We were together in the sewers. And Negan is telling Jenny she can't be here. They had a plan. He can't, you know, deal with her and like protect her and help Maggie. And she starts to try to say something to Negan, and I just knew that's what this like scene felt like it was calling for. Like she was about to finally talk, but Negan was more annoyed. Like all these months together, and now you want to talk? So he cuts her off and doesn't let her say what she was trying to, which obviously I kind of presume she was about to say something about Maggie and the grain not really being missing, but Negan ends up telling Jenny that he's the person that killed her father. The 5 men and the magistrate that attacked his wife, apparently Jenny's dad was a part of that group. I don't know if I'm the only person. I did not see that coming. I was like, God dang. So of course that she was hugging him and stuff, and that made her like ease up off him. And the marshal had volunteered to take Jenny back, so he just leaves Negan. I gotta say, I don't know how we got all the way to this point, because the marshal was gung-ho. And I know we had our little bonding, whatever, telling a story about his brother, but we just jumped all the way to I take her home, peace out. And the marshal, he just left. He went to take Jenny back. Now, I find it odd that nobody saw that flare. I don't know, like we had to worry about walkers coming over, and like the angle they was kind of showing Negan from like these buildings behind him. I just knew somebody was watching, somebody was gonna get Jenny, but no, Jenny and the marshal make it over to the river. We get on top of the little piece that he was saying will float and get across the river. Y'all, remember how annoyed I was because the Croat just kept saying nobody could get out the city? Baby, why did they keep harping on nobody could get out the city? We done got out this city easy as hell. Easy as pie. I thought nobody could get out the city. Y'all, I can't. Like, literally, they faced no issues getting out of this city. None. They got so smooth, easy, clean, like, easy breezy. Why did we keep harping on no, lock the city down, nobody can leave this island? Bruh, they left the island. They gone. And if Negan would have reneged on helping Maggie get her son and just left to take Jenny home, the whole plan would have been full. Because they got off the... When the Croat said, nobody can leave the island, what exactly was the plan to keep folks from leaving the island? Like, did we put anything in place? Like, y'all, come on now, child. I just could not believe this. So we end up seeing Negan and Maggie looking out this window, looking for the Croat or whatever. They have this conversation about Maggie saying, do you think the plan will work? And Negan is like, well, I gotta say, he was surprisingly, the Croat was happy to see me. I think we can work something out. And then they end up seeing the Croat's car, and we see him walking down the street. But Negan keeps like looking at Maggie Like weird. Like he's walking in front of her, but he like looks back. They just keep giving these looks, right? So we get inside this building and Negan is like, so you were with Jenny in the sewers. What do you think she was trying to tell me? Oh, I think she just be mad. You be mad she left. Whatever Maggie tries to spin. And they just look at each other. And I'm like, Negan ain't a fool. Okay. So I'm presuming he's starting to put 2 and 2 together with the appearance of Jenny. And as they just staring at each other in this scene, Maggie attacks and they start fighting. But Negan don't really want to have to do this. He kind of like throws her and Negan runs. And they end up having this fight that I really love this scene. We go to where like we're on top of this thing, like how the American gladiators used to fight, except down low it's a bunch of walkers. Really good fight. Really good backdrop to the fight. And Maggie, I thought she stabbed Negan in the heart, but I guess it was like the shoulder. She's able to stab him. When I tell y'all, this man kicked her clear. Like, she flew. Maggie should have had a broken rib after that damn kick. But he kept trying to say, like, Maggie, no, we don't have to do this. But they was fighting. And when they get down below where Maggie is beat, Negan has like a knife to her throat, but he drops everything. And that's when he puts everything together, like the Croat never stole any grain. It was only your son. For some reason, he wants me. And he goes to tell Maggie, it doesn't matter what excuses I give, how much I apologize. You're just never going to get over what I did. And you shouldn't. And I'm glad they added that part, because as he was giving his speech, it was kind of pissing me off. Like, bro, you literally killed the love of my life, the father of my child, in front of my face when I was sick and pregnant. I don't care if 50, 1,100,000 years go by. I don't care what good you did in the time. I will never get over that. I will never forgive you for that. That was so... So as he was like, no matter how much, I was like kind of annoyed with the no matter how much I apologize, but I'm glad he threw at the very end, and you shouldn't. But the Barotse end up coming in. It's the Croat, and Maggie jumps up and puts a knife to Negan's throat. But y'all, this kind of not making sense to me, because yeah, when we found out that the actual deal is that Maggie is supposed to trade Negan for Hershel, I'm thinking maybe Maggie had another plan, right? But when we find out she doesn't, why the hell did we get Tommaso and his group involved in any of this? What, like, the whole planet, why did we do any of that? Because I'm thinking Maggie got to be smarter than this. I wouldn't make no deal with the Croat. I wouldn't expect him to keep up his end of the bargain. Like, why would you ever trust him to A, not just kill you and your son on sight when you get there with Negan, or B, let y'all go but come back to the bricks and attack? Like, I just don't see how you could ever trust nobody like that. But she was actually just going along with the deal. And I felt like Maggie was so stupid for this. And I just feel like also, why did we add it? Tommaso, them ain't need to be dead. Luther ain't need to be dead. Why did we pull them into this? Because when we get to this building and Negan sees that smoke, remember when Maggie made that comment earlier in a way previous episode, Negan is like, oh, you know, I guess you was right about the smoke. I'm thinking this must have been some signal or something already coordinated with the Croat for her to come where the smoke is. I just don't get why we did everything else we did and added in Tommaso and all them when you knew all along you was going to double cross Negan and try to trade him for your son. So we riding in the little van, and Maggie has the gun, Maggie has the knife to Negan's throat the whole time, and the Croat is just talking, and he's like, I could have had you and the boy. And Maggie look, but I'm saying like, Maggie, you stupid. Like, you can't trust this guy word, but he's just like, oh no, you know, you could take your son. But we end up getting to like this bank vault looking thing to trade for Hershel. for Negan. When I tell y'all, Herschel did not look happy to see his mama. He did not run over to his mama. He looked about as happy as Negan was to go with the Croat. That's exactly how Herschel looked. And Herschel go to walk to his mama. He stops. He don't even go all the way to her. She got to walk over to him. And then, y'all, was I'm tripping? When Maggie hugs Herschel, he wasn't hugging her back. Didn't look like it. But I got to tell y'all, I liked this kid a lot more when he was kidnapped. We didn't really have to have him as part of the story. I just knew they was going to make him just a typical insufferable ass teenager. Which they did. But we ain't even there yet. So we end up having the marshal take Jenny back to the bricks. He drops her off. She don't want the little shirt that I think Negan gave her. So the marshal goes back to his home where he's supposed to be at, which I think is that city of New Babylon. But I got kind of confused because he passes. Remember Maggie saw the little walkers hanging when she went to her home? It felt like the marshal saw that same thing going to his, right at like the entrance to where he lives. Or was this a different hanging of walkers? Whatever. I don't know. But the marshal gets back to his home, and it seems like this lady is in charge, and she's asking him about what happened. And the marshal spins some tale, says he killed Negan. And everybody's like, yeah, he got him. But the lady ain't buying none of it. She's like, hold on, I want to hear the rest of the story. But she pretty much goes into, felt like a little sly little threat. Like, how are your daughters? I should go pay them a visit. And she ends up telling the marshal, why don't you tell me the story again? And this time, mention the methane. Now, seemingly, they're setting it up where these folk is finna go back to the island because they want this methane, this natural resource that the Croat them have. But am I slow or is this not making sense? Doesn't the Croat get the methane from the walkers? Like, why we need to go take anything from them? Can't we just get a bunch of walkers and take methane from them? Like, am I just slow? Like, am I not getting that whole thing? I always liked Maggie, but this final little wrap up of this episode, oh man, it just made me kind of like, oh, I don't like you, because it's like she let the Croat use her. Like, she wasn't smart. And I would think with everything she has been through, seen, done, you would be a lot smarter and calculating and intelligent with the decisions you make and what you do. The Croat was also, when he said, oh, I could have kept the boy in Negan, he also said something about exploiting her vulnerabilities. Like, you were too caught up in trying to get revenge on Negan, which this ain't even really revenge. You don't even know what they want him for. Because they want him to like run things and be his old savior self again. Like, he ain't like they finna torture and kill him. Like, you got blinded by your revenge, that you weren't even smart about this situation. You let this person use you, and you and your son still can't even really say y'all safe, because we could always just come back where y'all at. We did it before, we could do it again. And I'm sorry, I just still feel like it's not logical that the Croat didn't just go find Negan on his own. Like, why you had to go get Maggie? Like, you felt like one lone person was a much better option to look for Negan than you and all your people you got. I don't know. It's still just a lot of the story that isn't really making any sense to me. So the marshal and the person he's with, that lady, presumably we're gonna see them pop up in season 2. They setting everything up for maybe like this big war or something, because she want the methane so she can make cigars. So we end up seeing Maggie and Herschel after the whole trade in the car, and this is when he gets very insufferable, and Maggie's talking about how she glad he back. He's like, oh, glad? And Herschel's whole thing is, well, all I do back at home is wait for something bad to happen. I felt safer where I was. I'm just like, what the nigga? Y'all, I thought I was crazy. I felt safer kidnapped with madmen? Okay. So Herschel's whole thing is, Maggie didn't come to save him. She came for revenge. That she is obsessed with Negan his whole life. It's like she doesn't even see him. She looks past him because she's just so consumed with what happened to Glenn, the whole thing with Negan. Now, I feel like there was a way to play this where the audience could actually feel empathetic towards Herschel, feel kind of endeared to him. But these writers don't know how to write teenagers other than to make them insufferable and obnoxious. So he more so comes off as like bratty and ungrateful. And like this attitude and air about him that's just like so obnoxious and annoying that somewhere in there is something we could like feel for you. But y'all got it wrapped up in that typical teenage attitude that writers seem to only know how to write teenagers as. So it gets lost in that. But I just was sitting here like, baby, this can't be Glenn Offspring because this little nigga right here, especially when we get to the end. Okay, so the Croat and Negan riding together, and the Croat is just reminiscing about when they used to terrorize people, child. And one time when Negan let him use Lucille, yada, yada, yada. And he goes into like, it took me a while, but I understand what happened. I shouldn't have killed the girl. I became, the threat that needed to be handled. And I promise that won't happen again. I feel like I'm very let down with the character of the Croat. The Croat we met is nothing like this little small fry weasel Croat we done got these last few episodes, especially when it come to him and Adama. He just seemed like such a little weasel. Like, I thought you was the man. Like, you a little small fry. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Now, Maggie ends up back at the bricks, and Jenny is sleeping. She gives Jenny the teddy bear back. And Negan's last words he said to Maggie was, "Can you please just take care of Jenny?" And Maggie goes to have a conversation with Herschel. And she's talking about how her whole life she's felt like the world just kept taking stuff from her. And she was just fighting to not, lose stuff again. But then she end up, losing what she has, trying to get back what she lost. And she don't know how she's going to do it. But her plan is to finish things with Negan once and for all so she can finally move on. So presumably they're setting up for season 2 to have the Marshal and his crew going back to the dead city, and Maggie and maybe some other people with her going back to Dead City to rescue Negan, presumably. Now, we get back to Negan and the Croat going to that theater, and I thought this was weird. Why everybody sleeping in the damn seats of the theater and sleeping laying on the floor of the stage? They ain't comfortable. Like, the whole thing is y'all supposed to be offering us safety and comfort. Why the hell are we sleeping like this? I don't know. I thought that was very strange. And the Croat goes into how he never imagined he'd find another home after Negan. And this is like mommy and daddy meeting. It was very odd. I was like, what? How old are you, bro? Like, it was just, I don't know. I just feel like the character of the Croat that we met, I just thought he was so badass and such a, adversary up against Negan. But he a small fry. Like, it's now the Negan walking into the room to meet the Dama was very dramatic. Like, the camera angle, how we saw him out in the hallway, I don't know, it was very dramatic. Like, they really built this little meeting up. And the Dama, she treats the Croat like, she cut him off when he trying to talk. He said, "Oh, well, all three of us need to get down to business," and she kicked him the hell out. Like, baby, you still ain't running. You ain't running nothing when you was back with Negan, and you still ain't running nothing all these years later. Like, it's crazy. Now, the Dama ends up, asking Negan to sit down. He like, "Nah, I'm good standing." She offered him some brandy. He like, "Nah, I'm a gin man." So she ends up pulling out the little Marshal tag, and Negan is like, "Don't tell me you scared of cops." But she's like, "No, the power behind them, the force or people behind them, wherever there's a natural resource, they come take it." But again, am I slow? Why is they calling the methane a natural resource? We get the methane from the bodies of the dead. Yeah, likely, I'm sure it's like a whole process. You can't just take the dead body and have methane, because that was the Croat little job, before the apocalypse. I get that. But wouldn't that mean that you still need him to run and do the whole process? Like, you can't just come here and take methane and leave. I don't know. I'm just going to assume I'm just not smart enough to get the methane part of this story. And the Dama goes into the island needs leadership. We have groups all the way to Harlem or Brooklyn, wherever the hell she said, somewhere in New York, child. Like, basically, it's expansive. And they need someone with charisma and flair. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all, I still don't understand why we need Negan. Dama, you running things so far. Like, what do you need? Why do you need somebody else to come in and be the leader and run things? It's still not making sense to me. But she goes to say, like, here are the keys to the kingdom. But then she don't give it to him. She's like, well, how do I know that you're the man you were? Maybe you never was. And Nika's just like, oh, maybe I never was. Like, how do you know? And then she just gives him one key to this little box. And there's a toe in the box. And we end up discovering it's Hershel's. And he sure did well. How long was he there? Because he wasn't walking like limping or walking like he was in pain or nothing with a whole damn toe cut off. But the Dama goes into how her former guest, had a lot of talks with her. Why the fuck would you be talking to her? Glenn wouldn't have been talking. I just can't believe this is Glenn's son. Like, this little boy is really pissing me off. She talking about, oh, well, he told me a lot of stuff, but of course he had to trust me first. How the hell long was this kid here? How long was Hershel here? Because why would you ever trust this lady? Why would you tell her anything? I don't know. This whole thing, I don't feel right about it. I don't like it. It's giving me and making me feel like he a double agent now, like Tommaso was. It's making me feel like we can't trust him. He already hate his mama, so I feel like he ain't got no loyalty. So I don't know. I'm not liking this. But the Dama goes into, he told me this story about the man who killed his father. But what I could sense that the kid couldn't, it's like the murderer of his father could, be remorseful. And here you are. You come all this way to save this kid. And she goes to tell Negan, I took this piece. I could always go back for more. Seemingly threatening Negan with Hershel to do this job she want him to do. But I don't get how that, y'all, none of this is making sense to me. Negan does not strike me as the type of man you can strong arm to do some ish. Then I still don't understand why the hell we even need him. But that's another whole nother conversation. But let's say he do the job. He the leader. He get all these people to trust him. What makes you think, like, now they got loyalty to him? What makes you think he ain't gonna just turn on you the first chance he get? Because you're forcing him to do something with a threat. Y'all, it's just, none of this is making sense to me. Y'all, is this making sense to y'all? Like, I just don't get, why do we need Negan? And like, this don't make any sense. First of all, what if Negan was dead? Also, I'm off living my own life, doing my own thing. What makes you think I want to come all the way here to do a job for you? I don't know. It's just, it's not making sense to me. The Dama seems perfectly, I can't talk. The Dama seems perfectly capable, perfectly intelligent enough, ruthless enough, evil enough. Why you can't run things yourself? Negan didn't have to outsource nobody to run the Saviors. He ran it. Why you gotta outsource a leader for your ish? It's just not adding up for me. And forcing people to do something never works. People always rise up. They're gonna rise up against you as soon as they get a chance. Because you're just forcing them with a leverage. The second you don't have the leverage, or the second they can get the upper hand on you, they're going to turn on you. So what's the point? Y'all, I don't get it. Now, Maggie ends up she's like cleaning up Hershel's room, and she finds these drawings under his mattress. Look like of the city, of the cell he was in, and of the Dama. And that also making me just feel like he working for the other side, child. But Maggie's expression was like she recognized the drawing of the Dama. I just feel like this all feels like it's setting up where this kid is like double crossing or something. I don't know, maybe not, but that's the feeling that I'm getting. But when the news drops for Negan, and when Maggie finds this drawing, we get this shot of both actors like side by side, one half of each of their face, and they're literally making like the same facial expression. I don't know how the hell they did that, but that was so good. That was really cool. I don't know how you just get people to make a facial expression on cue, like the exact same facial expression. It was so, oh yeah, I really liked how they did that. I just don't get the point. Like, it's just like, I enjoyed this season, but it kind of feel like the narrative seems pointless. Like, and I get it, the Dom ain't really got no charisma or personality, but the governor didn't either. He ran his ish. He didn't have like, I guess he was kind of charismatic, child. I guess, they say cult leaders be charismatic. I guess, to be a leader and get people to follow you, I guess you do have to kind of endear people to you in a way. But it just doesn't seem logical to me that we got to go all out of our way to go outsource this job to Negan. It's just not adding up to me. Is Herschel brainwashed by the Dama? I need to know how the hell long he was kidnapped. Like, how the hell long was he with these people? Because how long did it take him to flip on his own damn mama and his own damn people and be a double agent? And if I'm the Croat, I don't even want Negan here. I wouldn't have wanted to go find him because they treat this nigga like chopped liver. Like, the Croat is like shoe fly. Like, shoe fly don't bother me. I'm very let down and disappointed when it comes to the character of Croat, just because he's not as badass and in charge as I felt like he was when we first met him. Like, I feel like I don't care what position you put Negan in, I just don't see him rolling over like a little punk the way that the Croat is. But whatever the hell. Now, I'm also curious as to what side of this whole thing the Marshal will be on. Obviously, they got something over him when it comes to his wife and his daughters. But what's going to happen when they want to go back for the methane and they see Negan damn hell ain't dead like you said he was? I'm just very curious as to how that's going to play out, what side the Marshal is going to fall on. How will Negan play this exactly? Like I said, I've never really seen the character of Negan. Like I said, I stopped watching when Glenn died. But Negan does not strike me as the type of character that you can just force to do some ish and he not gonna try to, go against you, get up out of this. So I'm very curious as to how Negan is gonna play this, because I don't see him just being submissive. But I feel like this was a good season overall. But I gotta say, I've been a little let down because it feels a little lackluster. I expected a lot more action. And you know what? That's on me. Because why the hell did I even expect action? Like, why did I expect that? Let me know in the comments, how did you feel about this first season of Dead City? How did you feel about it ending? They definitely set up a lot for the next season where it's a story that is ongoing. And I don't want to have to kill you, kid. I don't want to have to kill Herschel. But I'm not liking where we going with him. Look, Glenn is looking down and he not happy. He's shaking, he rolling his grave. I don't like what we doing to Glenn's offspring, because Glenn was my favorite. Glenn, Daryl, like my favorite characters. We not finna do this to Glenn's son. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.